think we're good to go. Hello, everyone. Time for another Workshop Wednesday, where today we are going to be making a dice bag out of some old jeans I have laying around. What is a dice bag, you ask? It is a bag for dice. So this is all my spare dice. I used to have a whole big collection of dice, but I've since cut it down to this. And so this is going to be our dice bag, or it's going to be at least our basis for our dice bag. Now, I've tried some things like this before, and I have a slightly better idea of what I'm going to do this time. But I still got to kind of figure out all the details. So this is just the legs, the remaining of one pair of jeans. So one leg of jeans. As you can see, I already cut out a piece from the bottom here for something else. It's clean, before you ask that. And the idea here is we're going to, I'm going to probably cut off the bottom here and then sew that together. Oops, cut off the bottom here, rather. And then sew that together to be the bottom of this. And then put my dice in to get a sense of how big the bag's going to be. And how big I need to be. And then cut that off the top and then do the rest of the bag. Now here's the thing. Oops. I know from experience that if I just sew this under and then like put a cord underneath and I try to draw that tight, it's not going to get tight. Because if this is just a looped under and then sewn in, as soon as it tries to bind together, it's going to kind of do this and get basically like that much together before it just stops, because there's so much fabric there for it to, if you imagine this folded under and you try to draw this together, it'll kind of do this and bunch up, but it won't really be anything close to like tight. So I know what I need to do is do something with the spacing. Oops, need a little more light there. There we are. So I know I need to do something with that. So I could just essentially make sort of squares at the top and draw it through that. So that would certainly draw it closer, but it's not going to be anywhere near tight. So what I probably want to do is when I cut the other side of this off, I will cut notches essentially. So there will be, so instead of this being, down all around like this, I'm going to sort of cut triangles of fabric on the inside. Here, and maybe here, and maybe here, and sew those in. And so the rest will be, no fabric. And so when I draw that tight, there should be much less fabric for it to actually bind up to. So it should draw it pretty tight. So we'll see how that works. But first, I need to trim the bottom of this. I'm starting here from the bottom as the bottom of my bag, because this is the wider part of the pant leg, it's the top. And I want the bottom of this to be wider than the top, because that kind of makes sense for a bag in general. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this and cut across. And then I'm just going to sew that together. One nice thing about this is I don't need to be perfectly level all the way across, because I will be sewing this together, and that is that's the angle that needs to be fairly even. So there's the bottom of those jeans. So I'm going to turn this inside out first off. There we go. And I'm going to basically ideal to kind of sew. There we go. I'm going to just sew across the bottom of this kind of like that, basically, to make it fairly, and obviously we have the curve of the seam here. That's just gonna have to be the way it is. So I'm going to sew across here like that, probably 2 lines, and that will give me a nice solid, curve. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, if I do it this way, it's going to be hard for the sewing machine to go over this bump. So if I actually rotate this like this, and make sure it's flat, then I can sew over, but it's going to be weird for the, so I should probably do it like this. Yeah, I'll just have to make that work. Okay. So I have my sewing machine. Do I have my thread threaded through that? I do not. So I need to thread my thread. Let me do that real quick. Hopefully I have enough. I'm not quite sure. Oh, that bobbin has a fair amount. I may need to add, need to trim that. I may need to add more thread to my sewing machine, but we will cross that troll when we come to it. It's not wanting to go into there. Hold on. No. So this is always the exciting part. In a completely non-exciting way. I'm just trying to thread that needle. Oh, did it go through? There we go. Okay. So we threaded the needle. And now, I'm just going to take that. I'm just going to take that and sew across. Actually, you know what I'm going to do before I do that? Let me grab some chack. Get some chack. And I'm going to measure across, and that's actually even better. Take a ruler. Since I want this to be fairly even across, I'm not going to like square it off or anything. Let's add a little bit of extra. Ooh, not a pleasant sound. So I'm just drawing a chalk mark down the side here as best I can. Does not want to work. Interesting. I don't know why that's so unhappy. Okay. Now I have a little line to work with. Okay. Grab the sewing machine. Is that going slow or fast? I think I determined it needs to go fast. But I'm gonna go slow. Just don't trust myself yet. Okay. I'm going to try to go down that line. Just all the way down. Oh, need to lower the thing. Trying to follow that that chalk line. Now it's a little tricky because I have to go underneath that seam. Yeah, that's pretty happy. Okay, now I'm just gonna spin it around. See if I can do this. Again, I want to go back the other way. I'm gonna spin this around, and I'll have to fold this under, sort of curl it around. Lower that, and then just do the same thing close by. Oops. A little trickier. But so far it's okay. Okay. I think that does it. Man, imagine that. I should have gone back and forth. Can I reverse on this thing? I forget. Is there not a reverse? No, there's no reverse. That's right. I can't reverse. Dang it. I can do it on the other machine, but not on this one. Unless there's some. Oh, I can do it manually. That's right. I should do that more often. Okay. So I've now sewed this. As you can see, it's an uneven stitch down. Oh well. Shouldn't actually matter too much because now when I reverse this, watch this. See? That just becomes the bottom of the bag. And because it's double stitched, it should be fairly serious. Actually, before I do that, now that I've done that, I'm gonna come back in. There's obviously a lot of trim here. There's an extra fabric. on that curve. So I'm just going to trim some of this off. It does me absolutely no good. A little extra will keep those threads in place. If I cut all the way to the edge of the threads, there's a chance they'd unravel. But I don't need a lot of fabric down there. And it weighs down the bag and all that stuff. Okay, cool. That goes away. So we, again, just to remind ourselves, we're going to put this out. And there's the beginning of our bag. Cool, we have a bag. Life is good. All right, so now I'm going to fill this bag with dice. So I get a sense all right, that's all my dice in the bag. All right, so I do not need this to be a big bag, obviously, and I do not plan to add lots more dice to this. So I know I can comfortably like stop the bag here. It might even have, yeah. So if I fold things down under, so this up here might be, I think this here is where I'll cut, so that I can fold pieces down and sew in. So the top of the bag will probably be about here, actually. But I think it's going to be about right for the amount of dice in this bag. So this is basically where the dice start. So if I cut here, I have some space up here, basically. So sort of cut into thirds here, maybe a little bit less than that. I think that'll work. Okay, so that's where I want to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, I mean, there's not much need to be careful here. Like, I don't need to mark it and then cut it, I don't think. Yeah, let's do it here. What feels right. I'm going to go a little higher. Okay. So we cut across. All right. Got an extra loop of jeans for later. Who knows? All right. So now what I want to do, as I said before, is basically cut triangles out of this and move those down. The problem is if I do that, then there's still going to be fabric. So there's still going to be seams of fabric. So what I might be better off doing, let me think about this. So if I do this and just sew this around, so I could, and I'll probably turn this inside out. Actually, let me take the take the dice out. That's not going to help. That's all of them. Yeah. So if I just cut triangles and then sew those in, the problem is there will still be, well, what I can do, if I do that, fold, okay, so I think I know what I'm going to do. So basically, if I imagine this, man. What is, there we are. So imagine this is my, kind of my seam. Then if I do basically this, boom, 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 right? They're my pockets. If I fold this down beyond that, like this, sew this together all the way around as an edge, and then in addition, sew the bottom of the pockets, or the bottom of the triangles down here, so run a whole other seam all the way around. That should keep those there. Obviously, there will be unfinished edges here on the sides of those triangles, but that should be okay, I would imagine, in this kind of a scenario. These are also very big triangles now that I'm looking at it. Like I'd be able to put a giant thing there. So maybe I don't want to do triangles that. I mean, I want the. I'm thinking this is too big. Can I get the chalk out? So I still want relatively big triangles, but I don't want the fold over to be quite as much. So if I just went like maybe like this, and then doop, doop. So maybe we have a total of 6 triangles per side, or 3 triangles per side, total of 6. Then, yeah, so this gets folded over, so we get a nice even seam around. Then we also have another, then we're basically sewing these onto the inside as well, but running that seam all the way around, that would work. The question now is, can I do that on that machine? Can I, if I have this folded under, right, I need to sew here, all the way inside to sew those things on all the way around. It seems tricky, but I think it can be done. I definitely want to sew the inside first. So that's done. Then I can sew the outer seam, because that should be relatively trivial. Let's give it a try. So we have that there. We need another. Ooh, that's a little tricky. But we'll do. Let's see here. Let's continue that line there. That line is there. And that line is here. So we just connect the two. Cool. And then we do again a total of 3 triangles per side. And it's going to be a little uneven because of some of those things. But I think we can live with that. All right, so I'm going to cut these out, right? And then we'll, all right, let's give it a try. And if not, then we try something else. I'm afraid it's going to fray a lot, but I don't know how to fix that. Not yet. All right, so that's the beginning of the first triangle. All right, oh, come on. So that's one triangle done. We'll go over here. We'll do this one. And I don't know if cutting through the seam there is good or not for what we're doing. Next triangle. This is one of the problems with jeans fabric, is it does tend to fray anywhere it's not on a seam, like really obviously. At least when you're like running through the laundry, that kind of stuff. But like I said, I don't have a solution for that yet. But we'll see how this works. And this will all be on the inside, so I don't need to clean up the chalk lines or anything. Like I could, but no one's gonna see it. Yeah, maybe I could. Maybe I will. I'm like a nice way of finishing this out. And then now that's a big section with no triangle. Let me do another small triangle there then. I'm okay with that. Man, keep having trouble with those very corners there. And then another one there. Okay. So cool. So those are our things. Now if I did this, would that make it easier? I think it will. Feels like a jester's cap. Does it fit? No. Oh well. So we want to basically fold this like, no, we want to fold it like this. Yeah. I think this will be easier doing it this way. All right, let's get a consistent distance all around for that. I think I need to pin this down. Yeah, let me pin it. Thankfully, we made our pin cushiony thing. So I want to match up the amount of fabric, amount of jeans here on both sides. Okay, then I'm going to pin. Yeah, I'm just gonna, actually that's gonna be great. Just gonna pin each triangle down, and because I don't have to sew on either of those, that should give me it should keep things in place without me having to like sew over a pin, which isn't a big deal, but I've done it before and it can be kind of janky, so it's nice having them kind of out of the way. Now, unfortunately, I don't have anything like set up for the cord to hold it all together, but we'll figure that out. I'll find something. I mean, I don't find anything at all. In fact, you know what? I'm going to leave that and just sew around that. Actually, no, I can do that. You know what? I'll have to spin it around anyway. So there's no. That's going to happen a lot. Getting pricked by these pins. Okay. Maybe if I pull that out a little bit. Maybe I don't need to push them in quite so far. Ooh, and I've got them opposites around. Oh well. Okay. So again, I'm going to sew all the way around here in basically one big loop, and that will attach this bottom part all the way. And then I'm going to sew again on the top all the way around just to finish off that seam and to keep it in place. And hopefully that will allow for some bend and some stretch in here. And then I'll basically turn this inside out, run some kind of a cord through there, and it can run through sort of anywhere there and pull out. And it should tie it pretty well. I probably will also want to put like an escape hole for the thread here somewhere, or for the string. But I can do that anytime at this point, I think. So let's just go ahead and do it. This is a little tricky because I have to move this, you know, like this, and this, you know, the positioning of all this is going to make it a little unhappy. Like it's not going to want to stay where it is. So I'm going to have to be kind of careful here that everything is moving the way I want it to. All right. And then, you know, rotate it and try to keep things going. We'll see how this goes. Wish me luck. Actually, let me start it a little bit further. There we go. I want to start, well, actually, I do want to start kind of in the middle of that because I'll come back around. Okay. Spin. Again, just trying to keep this relatively even. Whoa. Okay. Trying to match it up. I think we got it. Yay. And then, oh yeah, that's right. Now we reverse it a few times. Nope, that's not reversing it. That's reversing it. If we reverse it a few times and then move it forward a few times, that kind of finishes off the stitch and makes it a little more firm. Pop it up. It's more resilient. Okay. Should be a little bit more there. Yeah. That's that. Let's go ahead and do the top. Because again, I don't need to technically. I mean, this will hold it in place. But I think it will look nice, won't it? Yeah. This may just be purely for decoration in the end. And I'm matching this up so that the foot is exactly on the edge of the jeans. That's how I kind of know where I am. Keep a consistent position. Just going around. Trying to keep it organized. Oop. Need a little help going over that stitch, that seam. Probably do the same here. Nope, it does not want to go. There we go. Gosh. Unhappy there. Okay, we're back where we were before. Now we go this way to move forward. Nope. Yep, then we do this to go back. A few stitches. Then we go forward a few. Again, just to finish that off. Let that come up. Pull it out. Trim off the excess. Ooh. Getting stuck by those threads. Yeah, there's a kind of loose there. A little worried about that. We got this here. Is that okay? That's just caught up. All right, I'm gonna remove my pins, and with luck, this is now a usable dice bag. I swear, every time I use pins, I get a little bit stuck by them. I think that's kind of part and parcel of it. So, turn this inside out. Hopefully I did this right. Yeah. Okay, here's the bag. Hey, Gorilla, thank you very much. Yeah, that should work. Let me grab a cord of some kind. I mean, obviously, I have, like, computer cords, but that's not really perfect. And I will need to grab something. Oh, I have some string. Let me grab some string. Okay, and obviously, I will go out and I will buy some like a shoestring or something to use for this. Let me just use some twine as a starting point. And I might run a thing. So basically I need a little eye socket to for this to come out one side, or I'll just leave it as it is and have them come out the top. So I'm just feeding this through here, and I'm hoping that one stitch on the bottom is enough. And this is the exact same thing I do with the shoestring. Just feed it through. I say just feed it through. It is a little difficult at times, and it's already getting frayed from all this manipulation, but I think a little bit of effort we can get it through all 7 of these triangles, and then we will have a full dice bag. Now this cord should do a decent job of giving us kind of an idea of just, if I pull it tight, how tight it gets. I don't think it's going to be airtight by any stretch. I mean, nothing would. But I want it to be fairly tight. Enough the dice just don't go flying everywhere. Okay. There we go. Actually, the cord's not bad. Pulling that close, pulling that tight. Okay, that's pretty good. Like that's fairly tight there. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's fill it up. Kind of got this rustic charm with the twine, oddly enough. But I'll find something. All right, let's grab our dice. Go. Close it up. And we can go around with our big old bag of dice. If I just out of curiosity, I'm going to bow tie this. Okay. So with that, look at that. Yeah, that's tight. So if I had a cord going through this, and it was, binding fairly well. Look at that, nice. Now obviously, perhaps not obviously, the thread on here is a pretty basic stitch. In fact, it's the most basic stitch. So if I were doing a lot of wear and tear on this bag, eventually those stitches will fray and come out. So I might want to do a double line on that. There's also some points up here where the stitching, as you can see, is a little loose, quite loose in fact. Yeah, all along there's some loose stitching, and that's just me not being very good with the sewing machine. But that's pretty good. So what I could do is basically punch a hole in here, but then I'd have to stitch the entire hole, and I do not know how to do that. I don't know how to make buttonholes yet. That might be a good project for next time, is figuring out how to make buttonholes and other just general holes in jeans and such, so you can thread things through them. I just haven't figured that out yet. But this is now a quite functional dice bag. That's pretty cool. Let's do the thing. You see? We got our dice. We got our thing. We're good to go. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Gorilla. Thank you, anyone else watching. This has been how to make a dice bag out of old jeans. I hope this has been fun, and until next time, make something.